Well, the world has been watching the US presidential election process since, of course, the mid-2015, and it all culminated in victory yesterday for the controversial businessman and media personality Donald Trump. Now, while we may have not expected this result back then, America has made its decision, and the world is keeping its eyes peeled on the new leader of the free world. Now, joining us this morning, Professor Mark Ellyne from the UCT Department of Economics to chat about the reactions to this development. Professor Mark, thank you so much for joining us once again in your feel-good studio this morning. Yeah, interesting. I think there's a lot of eyebrows raised, a lot of questions asked as well. But let's quickly talk about this. We're going back in the last couple of weeks of the campaign. We saw the focus shifting from, Trump's scandals to Hillary's emails. There was a lot of debate around it. And at one point, it almost looked like Hillary was going to be making a recovery, but she didn't in the end. What happened?
I think this was a case where both candidates were carrying a lot of baggage. And it became very divisive and people were lining up. But we have to ask ourselves, what do these two sides mean? And Hillary was definitely represented sort of the status quo, a continuation of business as usual. And Donald Trump managed to portray himself as the anti-establishment candidate, the candidate for change, something new outside of Washington. And it's a little bit peculiar because Donald Trump is, in fact, the establishment, one of the richest people in the United States, very rich. He probably represents the elite and the well-to-do, and yet he was appealing to working-class people who were frustrated with the system and felt that they weren't getting a good deal. People who might have been suffering from this globalization. Globalization, as an economist, it's been proven that it's been generally a good thing, especially for the United States, but it's not costless. So some people are benefiting and some people were not benefiting, were suffering.
Are we almost seeing a similar situation like we did with Brexit, where they voted immediately for the referendum and then immediately they kind of regretted their decision? So do you think there's going to be some sort of voters' remorse with regards to Trump being president?
No, this is exactly a Brexit. And there's some of the same messages because Brexit also represented people who were frustrated with this Europeanization and globalization and were voting against it. But I'm not sure, we'll have to sort of see how it plays out, but it's definitely, it's another Brexit story. And the other thing is the media made the same mistake because in Brexit, no one expected that either.
That's the thing, yeah, exactly. Just before we let you go, we are going to be talking to you a little bit later as well. But I mean, states, if you can just kind of quickly round up how this whole process works, the electoral process.
Yes, the U.S. is a very bizarre situation. The public doesn't actually elect the president directly. They elect a representative from their state who goes to an electoral college and votes for the president on their behalf. So in fact, it matters who gets the majority in the state, and that state votes all its votes for the president. So I think you'll see the situation on the popular vote. Hillary did very well. In fact, she may have outperformed Donald Trump, but yet on the electoral vote, winning the majority state by state, he won the presidency. Very peculiar situation.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Professor Mark. Like I said, we will be back with the professor a little bit later on to unpack more on the US presidential campaign and the fact that Donald Trump is now the president of the new free world.